Elijah and the ravens. The biblical prophet Elijah was dispatched to deliver a prophecy to the evil king Ahab and his wife Jezebel. God predicted that there would be no dew or rain for the next few years. Elijah collapsed, exhausted to the ground. The message of the drought, Samaria's idolatry, King Ahab's wrath, and the dawning realization that he couldn't return home were enough to overwhelm him. Then the word of the Lord came to him, saying, "Get away from here and turn eastward, and hide by the brook Cherith, which flows into the Jordan. And it will be that you shall drink from the brook, and I have commanded the ravens to feed you there." So he went and did according to the word of the Lord, for he went and stayed by the brook Cherith, which flows into the Jordan. God taught Elijah the value of the hidden life through this. He'd just become famous as Ahab's adversary, so powerful that his prayers could stop the rain. God wanted Elijah to hide and be alone with God at the height of his newfound fame. Cherith comes from the ancient Hebrew root meaning to cut away, to cut up, or off. This demonstrates that God had some cutting to do in the life of Elijah during this period. We must not be surprised then if sometimes our Father says, "There, child, thou hast had enough of this hurry and publicity and excitement. Get thee hence and hide thyself by the brook. Hide thyself in the cherith of the sick chamber, or in the cherith of disappointed hopes, or in the cherith of bereavement, or in some solitude from which the crowds have ebbed away." Maya. The escape to the brook Cherith was to teach Elijah to rely on the Lord. During a dry spell, he had to trust that God would keep the brook flowing. He had to accept food from ravens, which were unclean creatures. We read, "I have commanded the ravens to feed you there." There is a strong emphasis on the word. God promised Elijah that the ravens would feed him while he was at Cherith. Of course, the ravens could feed him anywhere, but God directed that it be at Cherith. Elijah might have preferred to be somewhere else, preaching or doing something else, yet God desired him to be there and would provide for him. We read that the ravens brought him bread and meat in the morning, and bread and meat in the evening, and he drank from the brook. Every morsel of food that Elijah received came from the beak of an unclean animal. Through this, God taught Elijah to emphasize the law's spirit before the law's letter. Charles Spurgeon pulled 2 points of application from this occurrence, likening the food the ravens brought to spiritual food. First, he realized that God might get a good word to us via an unclean vessel, spiritually unclean, like a raven. Second, that one can bring spiritual food to others and still be unclean spiritually. As faithfully as he provided manna for Israel in the wilderness, God provided for Elijah's needs. He came to trust more than ever in the miraculous provision of God. He sent ravens to Elijah twice a day, once in the morning and once in the evening. The ravens should have brought more to last the entire week on Monday, and they got enough food in the morning to last the whole day and enough at night to keep him nourished throughout the night. Nothing more, nothing less. Just like the Israelites being fed in the desert and the widow of Zarephath, Elijah depended on the Lord daily.